Too hype or not too hype? That is the question. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. So today, we're going to be talking about Lionel Johnson and the Dark Angel Codex, because there seems to be hype out there linking towards the Lion's return. Now, let me just say, I see myself as a sane person in this topic. It's not always that way. I'm the madman preaching that Primarchs are going to return. But for this time, I've got to say, I think I'm in a pretty credible position to say I don't think the Lion is going to be dropping with the new Dark Angel Codex. No matter how many people are coming on my stream and say, it's coming, Valrak. The hype is coming. This is the reason why the Dark Angel Codex hasn't come out with the rest of them. So let's jump in. Let's have a little talk about the Lion, his potential return, because of course, we'll have to talk about potential because anything can happen in 40k, and some theories why basically the 40k Dark Angels Codex hasn't dropped with the rest of them. So let's start with the story and the potential of the Lion returning. Now, 8th edition was a whole different kettle of fish to 9th edition. The reason why is that 8th edition basically pushed the story forward. You had the Great Rift splitting, you had the ending of the Indominus Crusade, the fleet was being split up, new chapters were being founded, you had actually novels releasing, Dark Imperium was one of them, Plague Wars, that dealt after the whole galaxy being at war. Guilliman's return, you know, he's been back 116 plus years at this point. Again, that is at the end of the Indominus Crusade. But now in 9th edition, that has basically been halted. We haven't gone forward anymore, and what they've done, they decided in a story sense to go backwards, because one of the big talking points of 8th edition was that we had this entire crusade called the Indominus Crusade, and where we jumped off, the starting point for that was at the end of it, and everyone was like, what the hell? You know, we've just missed this like entire crusade. Just imagine this, right? The Great Crusade lasted around 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. That was like, you know, a galaxy spanning, ripping the galaxy, just fire, everything like that. That lasted 6 years. The Indominus Crusade lasted 100 plus years. I think it was 114, 116 years, if I'm not mistaken. And that was Guilliman reforming the fleets, founding new planets, you know, getting all these Primaris Marines, giving chapters new Primaris Marines, sending out all the fleets to take back certain sectors, battling chaos, taking back the galaxy from everything that had happened to it. And we missed all of that. Now, a lot of people, myself included, were like, well, maybe that is where a Primarch could come back. That is where, like, the Lion could come back, helping Jagatai Khan come back. You know, even Rogo Dawn could make an appearance, you know, tell Guilliman how to do things properly. But alas, no, because we actually had the ending of the Indominus Crusade, where we had Guilliman talking about what he was going to do, and then that ended up turning into the Plague Wars against Mortarion. So my thoughts on the subject matter was that, okay, so if any Primarchs are going to come back, then it's potentially going to happen now in the future edition, 9th edition. And now we've had 9th edition, I don't think that's going to happen. I actually do think now what they're going to do is retcon most of 8th edition. And the reason I say that is because if we look at the Necron faction now, so the Necron faction is doing all this stuff, you know, the Nexus, the Silent King is coming back. Now, there's no mention of that at all in the stuff that takes place after the Indominus Crusade. And the reason is because they probably, you know, had no plans for it back then when they actually made this. So what I personally think is going to happen is that once we start going through the Indominus Crusade, we start exploring, you know, new places, we'll come across new villains, new demons, new creatures, maybe even new Primarchs, that'll eventually get added to the story. And then once we get to that diving point where we came in from last time, that will all be collected and say, okay, this is the lore where, you know, this is what was supposed to happen, this is all the background that we never gave you before, and it was just like a crusade happened, that was it. And now when we get to that point again, we'll have all this information surrounding that. So when it comes to Lion is one of a few Primarchs which makes sense story-wise to bring back. The other Primarchs I would probably say is Leman Russ, you know, where he comes back out of the Eye or somewhere. Korak's the same, he comes out, you know, pretending to be Batman, that he's doing in the Eye at the moment, chasing Lorgar. And the other one is Jagatai Khan. Rogo Dawn is fortifying somewhere, so I don't think he'll be back anytime soon. But those Primarchs I just mentioned are probably the most favourable to come back in a sense of, okay, they're back, that makes sense. Now, with the Lion, out of all them, he makes the most sense, because we all know where the line is. Everyone knows from a narrative standpoint where the lion is. He's in the rock. He's basically, you know, RPing Sleeping Beauty at the moment. He's just waiting for someone to come and wake him up, whether that is going to be the Watcher, if that is going to be his father sending him like a psychic pulse. Boop, boop, wake up, lion. Gilliman finds him, he's drawn to him. He wakes him up somehow, maybe some Xenos tech like what Gilliman was arisen to. We actually have no idea, but we do know where the line is, and that makes him the most favourable to come back. Now, I'm not going to go down and make a full bloody video about what makes sense and the story will be affected. I've done that so many bloody times before. It's like beating a dead horse now. But basically, just to go over it, is that if the lion came back, I'm sure there would be some kind of power struggle. I don't think it would be massive. I don't think there would be a civil war or anything like that, because that's the last thing the Imperium needs, and I think both Primarchs will see that. The lion is very hard-headed, let's say. He's very set in his own mindset. He knows what he wants and he'll go after it no matter what people counsel against him. He always knows best. That's what I've taken from his books. And he's a chosen leader of men. He really is. The lion is a leader of men. That's been proven before. He's a great tactician. He's a great combat fighter. He is a badass. I would put him above Gilliman when it comes to combat prowess. I would definitely, you know, have the lion in my corner rather than Rabuti. Rabuti is more of a statesman, which is fantastic. Rabuti is someone who you need to run the Imperium. But without Rabuti, the Imperium wouldn't be where it is today. Never mind what's going on at this moment in time, because without him setting all the foundations up, which mankind nearly, you know, brought down over those bloody years when he was in stasis, it just wouldn't have been possible. So Rabuti is definitely someone you need, but for me, I think the lion is the champion you need leading the armies. Now, the problem is that it's not a problem with Primarchs returning, in my opinion. It's a problem with a loyalist Primarch returning, because when you have a loyalist Primarch returning, the law has to change to accept that loyalist Primarch. In the Imperium as a whole, you have so many different factions. You have all the Custodians, the Sisters of Battle, Sisters of Silence. You have the Inquisition. You have all the government bloody branches. You have Rabuti Gilliman now, who's in top. For a Primarch to be slotted in there, then that is a lot for, like, talking and law and debating and everything like that. Like, where does he fit into? What does he do? Does he take orders from Gilliman? Does he take orders directly from the Emperor now? Do the Inquisition hate him? Do they love him? Do they support him? Is there going to be rivalry between that Primarch and that such and such? Where if you have a chaotic Primarch, let's say like Angron comes back, or Fulgrim. Let's just say Angron and Fulgrim. So Angron comes back and he just, you know, he's on a planet and it's blood for the blood god. There's not really that much law you need for him to make sense to come back, because he's on a planet, he's there for corn, he's taking skulls, he's killing people, and that is it. Now, that's the same with Fulgrim. You know, Fulgrim comes back, he's here for the Slanesh, you know, the pleasure and stuff. He's here just killing things. It's not really going to affect Abaddon in a way. Of course, it's going to do something to Abaddon's plans, but it's not going to be massive like the Lion returning to the Imperium. And that's the same with like Angron and stuff like that. They can really do their own narrative and not affect the story as a whole. Whereas if you bring a loyalist Primarch back, then that really affects the story, because we're so together on the Imperium side. A new force like that popping up would be very, very effective. So that's why I do think that if they are going to be bringing back future Primarchs, it is going to be on the Chaos side. Let's move on to the subject of, but Valrak, the Dark Angel Codex did come out with the Death Guard, the Death Watch, the Blood Angels, and the Space Wolf Codex, so that means the Lion must be coming. I'm all for conspiracy theories. I will literally chew on any kind of Primarch bait I can get, but that's going way too far. I just basically think it's something to do with marketing. That's all I think it is. I didn't think they wanted to put out all the Marine codexes at the start. They wanted to give a bit of variety out there, like the Death Guard Codex. They put that in there basically instead of the Dark Angel Codex. I just think that the Dark Angel Codex is just going to be coming out in the next wave. It's probably going to be coming out in January after Christmas, because Christmas is all the box sets and stuff like that. So I just think it's marketing. I don't think there's anything really in it with it, or, you know, big about it. Alright, Chaperonios, that's me done for another video. Sorry for the lack of videos over the past couple of days. My throat hasn't been feeling that good, so that's why I've just been giving it a rest and stuff like that. You can probably tell I'm a bit vocally, a bit nasally in this video. I've just been recovering from, the man flu. That's all I've been doing. But thank you for coming, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. There's my thoughts on it. I know people have been asking me to make this video for a couple of weeks now. There you go. That's my thoughts on it. I don't think the lion's coming. I think maybe one day in the future, when the Emperor needs it the most, he will return. But for now, it's a no from me. Right, thank you. See ya. Have a great day, and bye-bye.